Moving on to item 4, Finance and Operations Committee informational item 4.01, Strategic Plan and State of Operations. Mr. O'Toole.
Good evening. So as we get started here, we're here to present our strategic plan, and I wanted to give a little framework of how we arrived to where we did. So I think it was in January of last year, we developed a committee that had individuals ranging from Erie Insurance, Penn State Barron, some other local accounting firms, and other members within the district, and some other members of the community participate in a committee to develop a strategic plan for us to focus into the future. This plan is the outcome of all those efforts, and I'm here to present that here tonight, in addition to where we find ourselves mid-year across several operational departments. So our primary objective here within our strategic plan was to enhance educational support services, optimize resource utilization, ensure long-term sustainability and growth, and align this plan with the district's vision moving forward. We're going to go in it. We have about 10 different major points to the strategic plan. First one being our transportation services. We are currently out to bid right now. We have a mandatory pre-bid meeting on January 21st, and then we expect the bids back in early February for transportation services next year. And we're hoping to secure reliable transportation services for the future. That will be coming forward after contract negotiations. The contract will be coming forward to the board in roughly March with the recommended contractor for the next several years. We're also looking to add an alternative education program that is cost effective and high quality. And we hope to implement that by next school year. The main purpose of this is we know right now at Percy's house, we're spending quite a bit of money. And again, that we need some additional slots for alternative education placement. So we're hoping that running our own internal program allows us greater flexibility for the future. Third major bullet point, Mr. Gallagher just already kind of talked about the feasibility study. So that's part of this. Is the goal is to determine long-term enrollment trends as well as look at our elementary buildings. Currently, our elementary buildings are really getting close to capacity, if not there. And a lot of that is a result of just enrollment trends in terms of our special education population and those ratios being less than 1 to 20 to 25 that we typically use in our elementary buildings. So space is becoming a premium, and therefore we need to take a look at our elementary buildings specifically, and that feasibility study that was just discussed is going to help us achieve that. Revenue generation. No one wants to raise taxes, so we try to find alternative ways to raise revenue. And some of this is these areas, and some of the action points being exploring naming right opportunities for our facilities, much like we have with the Haas up at the manufacturing lab. What other areas can we explore naming rights for to receive revenue? Annual capital campaign funds. We need, part of what we already discussed back in December is establishing a new foundation that is going to be focused solely on capital campaign funding related to extracurricular facilities. Therefore, we're not using taxpayer dollars to update a football stadium or a basketball court, etc. Improve access billing reimbursement. We've been talking a lot about this and implementing ways that we can improve that billing reimbursement on an annual basis. Optimizing usage of district properties. Are we going to be using the Montclair Park? If not, can we sell that? If we are having a purpose for it, let's start to use that for our mission or whatever purpose that we deem fit moving forward. Establish consistent billing practices of our facilities, such as with MYAA, booster clubs, etc., those that want to run our facilities. Let's make sure we have consistent practices moving forward, and creating educational elements for entrepreneurial opportunities for our students. Good example of that would be our manufacturing lab and our student-run manufacturing. They're able to generate revenue that is going to help maintain the replacement of that equipment longer term. how can we expand that out, but also giving our students a great experience in doing so. Another point for us is innovation and efficiency. We'd like to reduce costs through innovative projects, and improve management. One area is exploring solar and wind energy projects while using available grants. I'll give you a good example of this is I have the power grid related to Asbury and Walnut Creek is not very good. I mean, the power goes out quite frequently. If we were to explore using solar to eliminate that, could that maintain the life of our equipment? Because as the power coming in and out, that takes a toll on the equipment that we just installed into these buildings. Another area is, or as well as the energy efficiency that you would have with the consumption related to generating your own energy with solar. Assess benefits of autonomous cleaning equipment. Anybody's ever gone through Sam's Club and you see that machine walking around cleaning the thing? Why not us look at that opportunity for as well? Streamlining administrative tasks using technology. A good example of that is we streamlined our registration process. Can we better leverage our technology in those ways to improve these administrative tasks as we're moving forward and allowing us to focus on other things rather. Transitioning to paperless systems, a good example of that would be going paperless with our accounts payable. While that would be ideal, it's not going to be fully paperless. I don't see that going, but at the end of the day, writing a check and putting a postage stamp on that and sending it out is an archaic way of doing business, as well as paying your bills. Are there ways for us to continue to move forward? And we've already approved that and we're getting pretty close to implementing this, where it also paying with a credit card that generates a rebate. So not only are we reducing our costs, we're generating revenue through a rebate. Minimizing printing usage by student devices, and then a continued evaluation of CEP being the community eligibility provision within our food service program, meaning all meals are free. Right now we're not there, but we're going to continue to evaluate that. Security maintenance. Develop a security inspection plan. We already have a good start on that, but how can we continue that to ensure our buildings are safe as we move forward? Improve our work order management. Advanced equipment and facility replacement plan. Create a staffing analysis for 25-26 budget. Refine our preventative maintenance programs. Utilize equipment management systems as designed, and improve our building and grounds appearances. Those are some of the focus points that we want from our security and maintenance teams as we move forward. Data, security, and IT. We want to improve our cybersecurity posture. It's not uncommon for many different places to be breached and personal protected information or other information that is protected being stolen. What are we doing to protect this information? Today and age, there's many districts around us that have been breached. Thankfully, we are not one of those, and you have to put in a plan in place in order to secure that data for the future, but as well as protecting it and how you're going to recover it. So we want to be ahead of that game and improve our cybersecurity as much as we possibly can, so we're not in a position where we have been breached. Complete CIS implementation group, that's part of the same. Develop an incident response plan. That would be if we ever did have a breach. Implement an employee cybersecurity training program. A lot of these breaches aren't coming from someone just hacking into your firewall through your network. Most of the time it's an individual getting an email and clicking a link. And so the training program that is going to need for all staff is pretty critical in improving that cybersecurity protection. Migrate automated student account management systems. Document IT infrastructure and procedures. Develop a security plan and identify insurance specifications annually. So the good news is, as we protect our systems more thoroughly, in return, we should also be able to identify that to the insurance companies and pay less in premium. That would be the hope in regards to this. So a big focus here on cybersecurity. as we move forward to the future years. Curriculum and resources. I know Mr. Murdoch already discussed earlier today about developing a committee to review the resources that we're utilizing from an IT perspective and instruction, and making sure that we're not duplicating efforts, et cetera. So that's part of the committee that we're going to develop following a framework as we continue to move forward. You want to go or you want me to keep going?
You're doing great.
Thanks. So part of HR is workforce development and human resources here is developing a salary structure for non-MEA positions. Also formulating a workforce development plan and design onboarding and orientation plan. We want a well-prepared workforce that's able to come in and we're able to put them in a position to be successful right from the start. And so that's a big goal of ours as we continue to move forward into the future as well. Lastly, no strategic plan is perfect, especially as it extends years. We've got to be able to pivot. We're going to monitor this on a monthly basis. We'll report it annually on where we stand. It'll align with our budget. But if we need to make adjustments, we'll present that and make the adjustments as needed. Really, that cycle will continue to repeat itself until we've completed the plan. More details related to that plan is in part of the Word document that I had uploaded. This was just a really high-level summary. We have very specifics on targeted dates or measurables of how we plan to achieve these goals as we move forward. Are there any questions regarding the strategic plan? I'd like to thank everybody involved in developing this strategic plan, includes Mr. Linder, Mr. Winchell, as part of the board, as well as all the members that from the district. I mean, it took had over 12, 15 meetings just to talk about it. So I really appreciate everybody's time in developing this as we move forward. Okay, I'm going to jump right into the state of the district and where we are from an operational perspective. It's a given that we are all working towards that strategic plan that I just discussed. But those are high level things. We're still working on some other areas as well to improve. So the rest of this presentation is aimed at what else are we doing to improve, or where do we stand? So related to IT, we've restructured the department. To being more aligned, to setting us up from, as I talked about security being a big issue, a position designed for security. We've also just put ourselves in a better position to be successful. We are doing security evaluations in a camera project. We've implemented Custado, which allows parents to monitor district technology usage at home. So if you're bringing home a Chromebook, we could monitor it while you're on our network here, but there was no way for a parent to be able to see what you were looking up from home. Now this program allows the parent to be able to monitor what their children are doing from their actual home. We updated the workspace for our IT technicians to allow for greater efficiency. We continue to improve the network at renovated buildings. Over 2,000 Chromebooks were replaced at the high school, 3rd, 6th, as well as staff. Over 500 iPads were replaced for kindergarten, 65 CAD machines, another 40 CAD laptops were replaced, 290 laptops were purchased to replace for our elementary, middle guidance staff. And we've also, part of our E-rate program, E-rate's funded every 5 years, so we try to update our network equipment every 5 years. Part of that was 384 Wi-Fi access points were purchased out of the funding and installed. This is just a quick data point here. Over 5,000 work orders have been completed since July 1 of this year. You can look on the far left-hand side. I know that's small. I was trying to blow it up, but a lion's share of those, roughly 2,000, relate to Chromebooks. And as I talked about security training plan being another part, the left-hand side, where the green makes up most of the bar here, that relates to security and user concerns. So our data is also pointing to the fact that training will be a big part of our focus moving forward. In addition to focusing on the strategic plan as we move forward, we're also going to look at Bitwarden, which is a software that allows us to store our passwords. Therefore, if we should have nobody putting a password on a sticky note or in your notebook and putting it in a drawer, I mean, this would allow you to store your password safely. We're looking at our ticketing system and a possible change, as well as what metrics can we pull from that system to really help us look at how we're doing. Are we being real efficient? What are we spending most of our time on? For example, we could see that was Chromebooks. But what part of the Chromebooks? Was the Chromebook screen? Was it more? So how can we utilize our data to really help us have a better understanding of what product to purchase? Or should we be purchasing insurance, et cetera? Implementation of data usage forms for future vendors. Those are a few of the goals outside of what was embedded in the strategic plan. Maintenance updates. I'm just going to keep going. Long story short, 8,107 work orders completed in 2024. That's quite a bit. We continue to expand and refine the planned maintenance programs. As we invest in these buildings, we implement a rather robust preventative maintenance program in order to maintain this equipment. You can see about 1,700 planned maintenance work orders were completed in 2024 alone. And as mentioned, continue to work towards the strategic plan, as you already saw the feasibility study brought forward today. Let's talk about a little bit about construction. So on the left-hand side is a recap of the construction projects that occurred in 2024. Had the phase 1 of the McDowell. That's a 3-year project. So we have phase 2 this summer, phase 3 the following summer. You had phase 1 of Asbury Elementary. That will be wrapped up this upcoming summer. Phase 2 of Tracy Elementary, which completed that building. And then you had phase 3, which pretty much completed MIHS for the most part. We're going to come back in and do some auditorium work this summer. And then we completed the baseball softball project. Right-hand side, these are the projects that are coming this summer. Whether they get all done in this current summer or it might be 2 years from now. And I mean, McDowell's still going to be 3 years from now, but overall, you can see the list of those projects. We've talked a lot about them. Some of them bids have already been approved, such as the Asbury and McDowell MEP renovations. I talked about the theater upgrades been approved, the window replacements going forward. We did write a grant for that. We talked about ADA restrooms, exterior restoration today, but I'm not going to bore everybody reading through that, but that's quite an extensive list. Outcomes of these construction projects. And when we talk about this, I would like to remind everybody that Ridgefield, Chestnut Hill, and McDowell didn't have AC before. They now have AC. And why do I say that? Because that's important when you're talking about energy consumption. And then in addition to that, we made a decision in 2023 to control humidity over the summer for all of our buildings. So that does require, rather than shutting them down, it requires additional energy consumption as well. However, if you look on the right-hand side, you can see our energy consumption has been being reduced. Therefore, that's a clear indication telling us that our systems are working as designed, and we are actually saving energy efficiency in the systems as expected. The bottom bullet point on the left-hand side, it's about a 10.7% reduction from 2019 to 2023. That's about $100,000, over $100,000 a year. So while these renovations are costing money, causing Mike a lot of gray hair, it does save us a lot of money in the end, which is what we expected.
All right, Aaron, I'll give you a break.
Thank you.
So that we just wanted to provide a mid-year update from the HR department. We've been doing a lot of projects and working on a lot of stuff to increase our level of effectiveness and the efficiencies within that department. So just wanted to hit a couple high-level things here. I apologize for the small font. It was much like that high school teacher that lets you use a note card on the test and you write super small to get it on there. Aaron told me I only had 2 slides, so I had to cram everything on here that I could. So we completed a comprehensive wage structure and internal equity analysis, which you saw a lot of those job descriptions that goes into that next point too. Really wanted to align everything and make everything as equitable as possible, as well as externally competitive. So we worked to revise all of our job descriptions to accurately reflect that. Employment tiers, titles, qualifications for entry, appropriate job responsibilities falling into that scope. We worked to finalize 8 workplace condition plans agreements, and a lot of that was some consolidation, moving from 11 to 7. When I first got on at the beginning of last year, when an individual was hired, they were input into 12 different systems. So their employee information was input separately 12 different times. And we were able to use a level of integration with the data team, with a big shout out to that, to the data team, because we were able to move that down to 5, and that was no easy task. And so that streamlined a lot of our platforms, and we're working to continually integrate that with the business office. And we're working hand in hand with them to make our systems more efficient and more accurate. We talk about the bid process. We completed the bid process, achieving completion within 2.5 weeks, running 68 total bids so far this year. We're going to hopefully do it in about the same amount of time frame as we move next year as well. Establish consistent leave protocols and procedures with some accessible flow charts to be forward facing for our employees and our members, to make things more accessible for them, to help them alleviate stress when you're going through a stressful time and you need to take a leave. How does it affect you and impact you? And we tried to do that for our members. We reestablished a workplace safety committee, which resulted in a 5% reduction in our which will result in a 5% reduction in our workers' compensation premiums. We conducted an exhaustive position control audit and moved our employee files to a digital system, which again was no small task with 1,000 employees. Just a couple other updates, just going to give you an idea of what we did this year. Through all that, we were able to successfully recruit and fully staff the district for the 24-25 school year. Before, we did have a couple resignations and some educational assistants to start the year, but we were at 0 at one point, which was awesome. We were able to automate acceptance letters and board letters through our HRIS system. We've reviewed interview questions and we revised pretty much every single one, which for all of our different positions, as you can imagine, it's a lot. And we've done a lot with our employee engagement practices. There's certain positions that have a lot of transients, and that's pretty much industry standard with our educational assistants. And throughout the past 10 months, we've hired 140 individuals. Those are current positions, not added positions, but that's through retirements, resignations. Our sports teams have a lot of turnovers as well, educational assistants, custodians. So we see a lot with that. So we were able to hire 140 employees within the last 10 months. We helped create an employee guidebook for information accessibility. Again, how can we be forward facing and make things more effective for our employees here? And then established a workplace recognition. So we were able to do an exhaustive audit. I have to give kudos to our employee engagement coordinator, Mrs. Emily Ferguson. She went through every single employee file and found out what date they were hired so that we could accurately have that in our system. So we're able to meet everybody on their work anniversaries and give them a token in terms of their years of service appreciation. And we implemented that this year. And it's just a really nice, small token to say, we appreciate everything that you've given to the district, and to give it to them on their actual day of hire is pretty cool. So kudos to her for doing that, as well as recognizing retirements and other various accomplishments. We've been recognizing individuals when they get additional certifications or have big life events. And then lastly, we reinstated our Act 45 training, something that we used to have in the district, but kind of moved away from. COVID really stopped us offering these programs for our administrators, and we were able to bring them back. So we've been a busy department, and we have stuff to work on as outlined in that strategic plan. So we're just going to keep on moving forward. So that's all I got on my 2 slides.
A lot. Thank you. Looking at the business office, I'm going to keep going. There's only 3 more slides here. The district's received the Excellence in Financial Reporting Certificate for 3 years in a row, hoping for a 4th after this specific year. The business office hired 3 staff. These are replacement staff, not new staff. I want to clarify that. But the good news in having that turnover, it's allowed for more cross training. within the department. So that was a good benefit out of that. We're working to improve our asset management system. We continue to work with HR to integrate procedures and utilize technology. Improve fee procedures for those who owe money or have a surplus. A good example of this, there's a lot of people that graduate and they have $5 on their lunch account. I mean, we've been carrying these surpluses on. We've actually gone through everybody, asking individual families what they would like to do with the surplus, whether they want to check or donate it for a needy family. So that's just one example of how we're trying to improve these procedures moving forward. We've submitted and received competitive grants totaling over $3.7 million in this last fiscal year. It's pretty big. I mean, these were competitive. They're not guaranteed grants. We've additional grant management. This is important to note, I think, at the end of the day, is when the state comes out and they've been giving additional funding, most of that's going through the Ready to Learn grant or some other grant where it requires a whole lot more work than just saying, thank you for the money, we're going to spend it how we want. You've got the monitoring that you have to do, and all your reporting you're supposed to stay with. So as the state continues to give the districts more and more money, they're consistently pushing it through a grant procedure, which requires a whole lot of mandates in terms of reporting. Issued debt and managed bond funds, $37 million spent in 1 year. $37 million spent in 1 year is just about as much of 12 districts and IU5's overall budget. That is how much in construction. I mean, I can't say that enough. That's a lot of construction work in one summer. That takes a lot of work from Mr. Gallagher in terms of contract management, the management of all the contractors themselves, the accounting on the backside, everybody involved, their custodians and cleaning. So I wanted to put that in a different perspective of that's a lot of spend in one summer, where it's pretty much the size of most districts in IU5's total budget. And then we've been working towards the Gus Anderson Field project. Looking at the custodial department, we had new management, which has allowed us for improved accountability and operational effectiveness. We've revised our inspection and evaluation procedures. We currently have 3 open positions. We continue to struggle with substitute process. We really have no substitutes. And we've been filling a lot of this with overtime. So part of the staffing analysis that we're hoping to have completed for this upcoming budget year will give some recommendations to how we can try to resolve this for the future. We've documented snow removal procedures, and we've also improved our cleaning procedures and the training to our staff through our new supervisor, where we're using the correct solutions for cleaning and or the equipment itself, which is in turn achieving a better result in the overall cleanliness of the buildings. Our food service department currently has 7 open positions, 4 substitutes. We've added dishes to serve at the high school. We're no longer using disposable items at that moment in time. We've added additional POS locations for breakfast within our buildings. For the buildings that are utilizing that, we're seeing a direct influence of about 2% increase in sales. Many families this year no longer qualify for free and reduced meals. I bring that up because they're through a COVID program. Many families that were right on that fringe would qualify for free are no longer on the qualifying for free. That looks like it's going to translate to about $225,000 difference from last year to this current fiscal year in our food service program. We're exploring adding TVs in the cafeterias to display menus, and we are currently out to bid. I expect it to be out in the next week or two for our food service contract for this upcoming year. Last department, transportation. We currently have 65 drivers. 5 of those drivers are on leave for 66 routes. There are continued recruitment efforts, and we are receiving first students receiving applications. The services, as I mentioned, are already out to bid. The bus patrol program, remind everybody, that's the cameras that are on the buses, and they'll send you a citation. It still continues to generate over $10,000 a month in revenue. That's how many, but hopefully this is getting out there and people are going to be more safer driving around these buses at the end of the day. But our buses, we know that it's continuing to be a struggle this year. A lot of our buses are late. However, there's a lot of other, not only a driver shortage as we're looking at here, you're looking at our homeless transportations at a record high. And you're looking at some special education transportation needs that we haven't seen in the past, whether working with Solvet. I mean, everybody's experiencing the driver shortage. And so we're all trying to do our best in transporting these kids to school. With that said, that is a lot of information, but that is the end. Are there any questions? I appreciate it. Thank you.